Hey guys, Tyler here. So I am filming a video here so that I can show you guys how the new video system's working. This has been installed for a couple of weeks, but it takes some programming on the ProPresenter side, and I was aiming for the first Sunday in August to basically launch this. And so I want to shoot a quick video or quick-ish, just kind of briefly overviewing what is going on with this. So first thing you need to know that's different is we're going to use something called a Stream Deck. I don't know if we're going to use this one. We might get a slightly larger one. But there's a couple things that are cool about this. Number one, if you wanted to, you could actually control which cameras go live on this. So right now it's got preview camera one, or yeah, it's preview camera one, but I could go preview camera two, preview camera three, four, five, and then I've got a little cut button in the bottom, and I could say that's what I want to go live. So that's one thing we could do with it, and we could make we could get a larger one and just make this a little more organized. And then I've got a second page here. So I guess the first page is labeled cams, second page is labeled screens, and I've got these three options for the main screen. And so the options are full screen, live video, and then this one's just like a blackout button. It's kind of a panic button. But I'll show you guys about a little bit. But so basically how the new system is working is video is going to be live on the stream going forward. So from worship to sermon to hosts, all going to be live. The only thing that won't have a live camera is when we have videos or full screen like graphics. So for example, when we have our DNA video, we have our host video. If Nick has a quote that he's using that takes up the whole screen, that will generally take up the whole screen, and you won't have to worry about video in those instances. But other than that, we'll have video with lower third on the stream. But like we've been doing the last several months, we will still have black screens in the room during the worship music, but we'll have lower thirds during and transparencies during the teaching time, and again during host times. So I'm going to try to, as simply and as briefly as I can, explain to you like what's going on here. So I'm going to pull up our ATEM software. I'm going to share my screen here. And I'm going to make sure when I share my screen that I can see it on. There it is. I can see it. Okay, great. So we're all familiar with our ATEM software. So what we used to have, I'm going to move the camera views around, or the picture views. We used to use what was called an upstream key, and the upstream key was specifically a chroma key. So what we'd do is we would have ProPresenter send over a green screen element with like words on it or whatever, and this would be set to basically say, if you see something with green in it, get rid of it. Anything that's not green, keep. Anything that is green, go away. And a specific hue of green. Well, that's a good way to do it. It only takes one input, but we're going to do it better. And then we basically turn this off. So that needs to be off. That's how it was on before, but that's got to be off now. We are now using what's called a downstream key, and more specifically, an alpha key. I will show you with my phone here in a second, but an alpha key is essentially you send two outputs from the same device. One output's going to be read as like totally filled in white of whatever specific shape you're sending. That's called your key. And then the fill, or the second output, is the fill, which is basically that same shape, but the actual content. So I'm going to, actually, I'll stop sharing my screen here for a second so I can show you guys exactly what I mean. So if we're looking at like the lower third, or the lower third scripture here, this would be considered the fill. So I'm looking down here. This is called our ProPresenter fill, and it's basically just this shape with a white line and black background and white text. That's our fill. But we need a key to basically say what needs to be transparent. So I have that hidden. It's on camera 9. So I'm going to pull camera 9 up. Maybe. Oh, I guess I need to pull up my software. One sec. Camera 9. Okay. And so here, we've got basically that same thing. We've got the white outline and we've got a white box. So that's basically saying anything that's not white needs to be transparent. And so that's why when we go to this, which again, this is our fill, you can see that the little blue of the drum kit goes through that because it's not white. So anything that's not white can be transparent. And then because the fill is actually black, that's why it can stay that way. But that applies like to basically we can have any color of any graphic. We don't have to worry about the chroma key cutting out green from certain graphics. And so other than it takes two outputs to make this happen, it ultimately is a better solution. So really excited about that. I'm going to go back to sharing the screen and just show you guys how this works real quick. Hopefully you should never have to touch it. But I just want you to be able to see it. So downstream key, we've got what's called our fill source, which I've labeled appropriately in here. So ProPresenter fill, ProPresenter key, and then we got to make sure this guy's on. If this guy's not on, we won't have any content from ProPresenter going to our live stream. So basically, we just got to make sure that's on and leave this section alone. If you do those two things, you'll be in a good spot. So that's really the main thing that's changing with our video switcher. Other than we might add one more camera, and some things might move around if we do that. Like maybe the key and fill will be on 9 and 10, so they're out of the way. We'll figure that out. I'm open to suggestions. The other thing that we need to be aware of is this software here. So I need to close out of something real quick. Okay. So to use the Stream Deck for the ATEM video switcher, we kind of use a third-party software. It's called Companion. And so let's see if it'll let me. I'll share my screen again, specifically my desktop. Okay. So it's this guy here at the bottom, the 4 white lines and the 4 dots and the red dot. So that's our companion app. And so I double clicked on that and it pulled this window up. And all I have to do is hit launch GUI and it'll pull up this browser window. And that's pretty much all you have to do. If you don't pull this up when you first turn on the computer, the Stream Deck might not do anything. So keep that in mind. I think that's a pretty crucial step. But after that, you don't have to do anything. This is how I edit what the buttons do on the Stream Deck. And so I'm going to show you that. Please, if you have suggestions or you have an idea for what needs to go on the Stream Deck, please do not implement it without me. That's not because I'm trying to be a control freak. That's because if something goes wrong and something's changed, I don't have any idea and I don't have any explanations for the people asking questions. So I'm up for ideas, and you can program as many pages as you want on these things, I believe. And so let me know your idea. We can implement it as a test, and then we can figure out if we want it long term. But essentially, to go here, I'd go to my buttons page. And this is basically showing our Stream Deck that's connected. I currently only have 2 pages, a camera page and a screen page. I can go to presets. And because I said I am doing specifically things for our ATEM video switcher, I was able to find that module and plug it in. So I click on that. And then these are all the different things we can control. So essentially how this is working, I've got this wired up in such a way that we have what's called an auxiliary output, this aux1 wired to go to the projectors. And via the Stream Deck, I can choose which feed or which input or whatever I want to go goes to the screen. So what I do is I click on this, and then we have a bunch of different options here. So what I've essentially done is I've created one for, let's see here. I've got input 7 listed as full for full screen. So let me go to my screen page. So I put that here, and I was able to relabel it so it's full screen. I put our program out, so whatever's going on the stream, I put that for live video. And then there was also just a blackout option. And so I put that in here as well as kind of an oh crap button. Things aren't going right. Let's just black out the screen. Hopefully we don't ever really use that. But that is just something to be aware of. So I can click on, after I click and drag these buttons in where I want them to go on the Stream Deck, I can click and I can edit like their label, their background color, their text color. I'm going to do it with this one, and we're going to call it blackout. And I'll see if it'll let me. Yep. And then what I did is I made them pink because it stands out, and I doubt any of us are gonna choose pink as like the thing we're live on. And then yellow, yellow is what it defaults to for that's the thing you're on. So pink means they're off for aux1, and then yellow is basically saying you're on live video right now. So I'm going to show you guys this in the flesh. Let me stop sharing. I'm going to flip my camera around. Okay, so let's go to, let's see. I need to go back to the too many softwares. Okay, so right now we're on the sermon. And I don't know if it'll let me zoom in. There we go. So right now we're on a sermon look. And so if I went to full screen, we would need to change how this looks. But if I went to full screen, it would black out the screen and do that. With the black, it would take all text away. And that's live. It's called live video. Give me 1 second and I will show you what we can do with specifically a worship look. So when we have worship music, we want the screens to be black, but we're going to be live on the stream. Oh, let me zoom out. So we're still live on the stream, but we're black screens in the room. But then say let's maybe say there's a music breakdown, and Tyler wants to do a video exhortation over that. Maybe he wants to do scripture in the middle of song. We can click the live video button on the Stream Deck and go live in the room. Again, always live on the stream, but we can go live in the room. We can black out, you can go full screen text, or you can go live video, all with the press of a button. So that means there's going to be a little bit more responsibility on you guys in that regard. So that being said, I am open to comments. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to feedback. But I do want to make clear that I am just a worker of the under shepherds who make this decision. I'm not necessarily a big stream guy. I think there's a purpose for it. But I'm also the guy who's like, if you can be in the room, please be in the room, because that's where you have the most growth and just the closest encounter with God, in my opinion. Doesn't mean you can't happen on the stream, but I think there's kind of a barrier there. So I love when people are in the room. I'm not necessarily big on, I'm not a huge production guy. I'm like the weirdest worship tech guy you'll ever meet. I want things to be done well, but I do not want like flashy cameras and flashy lights. And once that happens, I'm probably not the guy for the role anymore. And I don't think Pastor Nick wants us to go that way either. So that being said, as far as like not doing worship on the stream, as far as live video on the stream, probably not an option. I can always give the feedback to my superiors, but they're ultimately the ones trying to lead the church under God's direction. So I'll give the feedback to them as necessary. But I mean, we just got to roll with what they want. So that being said, I love you guys. I'm not trying to make this overly complicated. We might add one more camera, maybe two more cameras, but I'm not asking for like a change in shot like every 3 seconds. Two of our cameras are PTZs. We have no camera operators. Our worship pastor and our lead pastor understand that we're not gonna be a Bethel or a Hillsong or an Elevation, and I don't think they want to be, to be honest. So that being said, we want to get better, but we're not trying to be too flashy or anything. Another thing to be aware of is in late August or early September, I'm probably going to try to get everybody together video wise and do a training with Becca Priscorn, soon to be Becca Kinslow. And she and I are going to team up and just figure out what we need to do as far as helping everybody just get on the same page and be more consistent week to week as far as framing up shots, especially for sermons, and overall just getting tighter shots when we can. And so we just want to be on the same page and get the product's not the point, but there is a product at the end of the day. And so we just want to be consistent from week to week. And the product is not the point. So, yeah. Anyway, the last thing I want to say, if you guys don't know this internally already, is that you guys are part of the worship team. You are a vital part of the worship team. Unfortunately, and I don't think this is anybody doing this on purpose, but the church has accidentally come into this language of there's the worship team and the tech team. No. For me, and I will, and I kind of correct people on this without trying to be a jerk or a turd. To me, there's the worship team, there's the worship ministry, and under that umbrella of worship ministry is the tech team and the band. And more importantly, they cannot operate without each other. The band certainly cannot do what they do without us. And honestly, we don't get to do or can't do what we do without them. So it's a very symbiotic relationship. You guys are just as important to the worship culture of this church as the band is. It's just a fact. Tech is worship. So I want to remind you guys of that. You have an important role. You are part of the body. And we're just trying to help the body cooperate together and function better together. So love you guys. Hopefully this makes sense. Let me know what your questions, comments, concerns are. And by no means are we going to have this figured out week one. We're going to make it as good as we can week one. But we are going to try to move this forward, figure out the kinks, and make it better every single week. So appreciate you guys, and talk to you soon. Thanks.